Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Texan Entertainment News. I'm your host, Justin Pack. This week we have news from the film and video game industries, a recap of what the celebs are up to, as well as a review of the film Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl and the video game Batman Arkham Knight. Let's start off with some movie news. The box office numbers for both Magic Mike XXL and Terminator Genisys are in for their opening weekends, and to somewhat low numbers. Neither film was able to beat Jurassic Park, which is on its fourth week in the #1 spot, or Pixar's Inside Out, which is in the #2 spot. Terminator got $28.7 million on its opening weekend, and Magic Mike only pulled in 12. Jurassic World and Inside Out both gained 30.9 and 30.1 respectively. You see, abs and action stars really can't compete with dinosaurs or 3D animated adolescent emotions, apparently. Yeah. One other movie stat that seems kind of weird is that 97% of Magic Mike XXL's theater-going audience has been female, which is even higher compared to the first film, which had a 73% female audience. Wow, like, I knew the ladies loved them some Channing Tatum, but I did not know how much. For those 3% of dudes who went to go see that movie, I guess the line for the bathroom was short? Yeah. Anyhow, for some news about someone who isn't Channing Tatum, like the polar opposite of Channing Tatum, get it? Polar, he's a pole dancer. Yeah. The actress Marissa Tomei has been offered the role to play Spider-Man's aunt, Aunt May, in the new Spider-Man film, according to Variety. Tomei acted in films such as The Wrestler, What Women Want, and My Cousin Vinny, which she won an Oscar for back in 1992 for Best Supporting Actress. She's also in the recently released film Trainwreck, starring Amy Schumer and Bill Hader. No word yet if Tomei has accepted the part to play alongside the relatively unknown Tom Holland, who's been slated to play the superpowered teen. But hey, I'm just hoping for that Ant-Man, Aunt May crossover movie. They're both Marvel properties. It could happen. Come on. Speaking of weird, unlikely daydreams for films, apparently Goosebumps movie is a thing that's actually happening. That's right, like Goosebumps, like those R.L. Stine books you read as a kid. A trailer was released featuring Jack Black, where it is revealed he's going to play a fictional rendition of R.L. Stine. In the film, in some sort of metatextual twist, all of Stine's books are real, and by opening the original manuscripts, his stories are released upon the world. So it's up to some plucky teens and Black to put the stories back to where they belong and save the town. The film doesn't look too scary, but I urge you to go seek out the trailer and judge for yourself. I can't believe this is a thing that's actually being made. The film is slated for an October 16th release. To wrap up this week's movie section, we have a review of the recently released comedy drama film Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. Future Justin should have a review for us. Future Justin, did you write, record, and edit the review like I asked you to? Of course I did, bro. You know me. Sweet. Take it away, bro. Okay. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl is a film adaptation from the novel of the same name. The film follows Greg, a high school student, and his cohort, Earl, and their interactions with Rachel, a fellow high school student who's been diagnosed with leukemia. Greg is an emotionally walled-off kind of kid, not really belonging to any social group, and has carefully organized his life so that no one really likes him or hates him. This is pretty well illustrated in a comment made by Earl.
So you and Greg are co-workers?
Nah, we friends. Dude's terrified of calling somebody his friend. Dude's got issues.
Greg is forced by his parents to spend time with Rachel, therefore disrupting his carefully maintained social aloofness.
You might be someone who could make Rachel feel better.
I don't need your stupid pity.
I'm not here because I pity you. I'm actually here just 'cause my mom is making me.
It's actually worse.
While you might think this is a recipe for another teen romance story, this film is really not that. This is even clearly stated by Greg himself.
So if this was a touching romantic story, our eyes would meet, and suddenly we would be furiously making out with the fire of 1,000 suns. But this isn't a touching romantic story. Anyway.
Yep.
However, as Greg and Rachel spend time together, they become closer both emotionally and physically. This can even be seen in the film, and the way the film was shot when using camera techniques and forced perspective to make the actors appear physically distant at the start of the film and gradually get closer as the movie progresses. It's all that outright stated, though, that their relationship is a completely platonic one. Greg and Earl are amateur filmmakers, primarily making parodies of well-known films, for example, A Sockwork Orange, a sock puppet rendition of A Clockwork Orange. Greg is asked to create a film by fellow classmates for Rachel. This film becomes another catalyst of change in Greg's life. Now he must face what Rachel means to him, as well as other major themes in the movie, such as death, empathy for others, vulnerability, and changes associated with growing up. The film is directed by Alfonso Gomez Rion, I believe I'm saying that correctly, who was also did directorial work on TV primarily, such as on American Horror Story and on Glee. He also did some assistant director work on films like Argo and Eat, Pray, Love. The film is well shot with appropriate use of camera techniques. One sticks out in my mind where the camera is turned on its side, panned across the screen, and then righted again at the end of the shot. There's also a lot of stop motion animation used in the film, kind of surprisingly. Both shown as snippets from some of Greg and Earl's short films, as well as it's also used frequently to illustrate Greg's internal monologues. While the film is dealing with some pretty heavy subject matter, it's actually pretty funny and charming. Greg is witty, and some of the events of the movie are actually pretty comical and had me laughing in the theater. This, however, is often tinged with the knowledge, though, that one of the main characters is dying, which leads to a sort of melancholy feeling after the laughs are over. While the film is not exactly a feel-good movie of a year, its message is not without hope, and the characters are engaging, and I found myself carrying thoughts in the narrative long after I had left the theater, which I believe to be the sign of a good story and maybe the sign of a good movie. So if you're looking for a well-made film that might get you emotionally engaged, I strongly suggest you go see Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. Oh, and I dare you not to cry. Seriously, I dare you. Back to you, past self, you handsome devil. Thanks, future Justin. I really hope you didn't let me down. Yeah. Man, just thinking about that movie again gets me all emotional, but I don't really want to face my emotions right now. Instead, I'd rather hear about some famous people. Keanu, please indulge us.
Thanks, Justin. From Texas to Hollywood. Hello, everybody. I'm Keanu Perez with this week's Celebrity Buzz. Donuts, fashion, and breakups is what I have for you. You can't hate America in July. Well, Ariana Grande does. Reported by the Associated Press in a recent video leaked, pop star Ariana Grande said, quote, "I hate America," while at a donut shop. Ariana released a statement to the Associated Press reassuring America of her patriotism. Ariana said, quote, "I am extremely proud of being American, and I've always made it clear that I love my country. What I said in a private moment with my friend who was buying the donuts was taken out of context, and I'm sorry for not using more discretion with my choice of words." The video, originally leaked by TMZ, records Ariana saying she hates America after viewing a tray of donuts. In her statement, Ariana said she expressed herself as she did, as she lives a healthy lifestyle, and was upset with, quote, "how freely we as Americans eat and consume things without giving thought to the consequences. The fact that the United States has one of the highest child obesity rates in the world frustrates me. We need to do more to educate ourselves and our children about the dangers of overeating and the poisons that we put in our bodies," she said. In regret, Ariana said, quote, "However, I should have known better in how I expressed myself, and with my new responsibility to others as a public figure, I will strive to be better." It's clear up time. If you haven't seen on social media, reported from the Associated Press, Subway spokesperson Jared Fogel's house recently was raided by federal and state authorities on Tuesday. Authorities will not release details on the investigation, but as electronics are removed from Fogel's house, speculation arises on a connection with former executive director of Fogel's Foundation, Russell Taylor, who was arrested on child pornography charges 2 months ago. Subway in a statement has said they believe the raid was related to a past investigation on a former employee of the Jared Foundation, an organization founded by Fogel to raise awareness on childhood obesity. But Subway did not specifically name former executive director Taylor. Fogel's attorney Ron Elberg said, quote, "Jared has been cooperating and continues to cooperate with law enforcement in their investigation of unspecified charges and looks forward to its conclusion." Subway has removed references of Fogel from their website due to this current investigation, as Elberg and Subway and Fogel, quote, "mutually agreed to suspend the relationships due to the current investigation." Fogel first had his spotlight known as the Subway Guy after losing 245 pounds with regularly eating of Subway sandwiches over 15 years ago. Fogel then became the commercial star for the sandwich chain. What's stylin'? Reported from the Associated Press, it's Fashion Week in Paris. Beautiful city, Russian roulette, and iconic fashion brands, so of course the celebrities will make an appearance. Chanel stole the media by hosting a recreated casino night with a guest list that included singer Rita Ora, Vanessa Paradis, and model Laura Stone. But all eyes were on Kristen Stewart and Julianne Moore when they made their grand entrance dressed in Chanel couture and had a seat at a celebrity-filled poker table located in the center of the catwalk. Stewart and Moore seemed to enjoy themselves as hug and laughs were exchanged. From the Paris runway to New York, the Associated Press reports Brandon Maxwell, longtime stylist of none other than fashion icon Lady Gaga, is set to show his first collection at the New York Fashion Week in September of this month. Maxwell is credited the silver high-slit gown Gaga wore at this year's Grammys, as well as the majority of Gaga's outfits from her Cheek to Cheek tour with Tony Bennett. And I wouldn't be your celebrity host without social media news. This week, celebs are taking down their photos as fast as they're putting them up. Paula Deen has made sure to clear the air that she did not post on her Twitter account the photo of her son, Bobby, in dark makeup and costume as I Love Lucy character Ricky Ricardo for her 2011 Halloween special episode. Dean, having acknowledged in 2013 she used a racial slur in the past that caused her to end her ties with Food Network and initially crumbled her cooking empire, was put on social media blast from tweeters as they saw her son with dark makeup on as offensive. Spokesperson Jarrett Keller said, quote, Paula immediately had this picture taken down as soon as she saw the post and apologizes to all who were offended. Keller would not name the social media manager responsible for the post, but said he was fired. Kardashian fans, you are either in excitement for a now single Kardashian or in tears over the breakup of Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick. All over social media, the breakup is in discussion, though both Scott and Kourtney decided to show their independence through their Instagram accounts. Over the July 4th weekend, Kourtney posted a patriotic photo with daughter Penelope of their Girls' Weekend holiday celebration, along with selfies of an apparent all-white dress attire lunch date with sister Khloe and Kim earlier this week. Scott, on the other hand, posted a photo asking fans to come party with him at his next club appearance, then quickly took down the photo. That's a wrap with this week's Celebrity Buzz. Back to you, Justin.
Thanks, Keanu. You keep up with the Kardashians, so I don't have to. Your legs must be really tired. There's a lot of them, and they're all running in different directions. Okay, let's go on to video game news. Disney is getting some merchandising usage out of that Star Wars license. It was announced the next release of Disney Infinity 3.0, will feature Star Wars characters. Infinity is the uber-lucrative combination of collectible figurines and video games, where you purchase figurines from popular Disney-owned properties, and then you place them on a special platform, and they appear in the video game. Most recently, the Star Wars expansion will feature a Anakin Skywalker character and a Ahsoka Tano figurine. More figurines have been announced, like Boba Fett. The initial Star Wars kit will retail for $65. There's also been an update for the Xbox One operating system. It has been announced. It's going to come out later this month. Initially, this update doesn't do anything, but it preps the system to have some new features later on. This is backward compatibility, so Xbox One can now play old Xbox 360 games, as well as Windows 10 streaming. So a Windows 10 computer will be able to stream game footage from an Xbox One. Also, the votes for Best of Show at E3 have been tallied. And it's no big surprise, but Fallout 4 is this year's darling. It took Best of Show, as well as Best PC Game and Best RPG. Uncharted 4 did pretty well for itself as well, as it took home Best Console Game, Best Action Adventure Title, and it got a special commendation for graphics. And one other big winner from this year's E3 was Star Wars Battlefront, more Star Wars. That game went home with Best Online Multiplayer and Best Action Game. While speaking of action games, we have a review of one of the biggest released action games in recent history, Batman Arkham Knight. Once again, Future Justin should have a review for us. Seriously, Future Justin, you better have a review for us. Seriously, dude, you know me. I got this. Come on. We're the same person. All right, so Batman Arkham City is the most recently released Batman Arkham title. This is the fourth entry in the series. It's produced by Rocksteady Studios. So more or less, this game's pretty similar to other entries in the series. Few new features added here and there, but it's kind of more the same. So, but for those who don't know, I'll kind of do a rundown here for you. So story and setting, this game takes place in Gotham City, of course, because you're Batman. Basically, the Scarecrow has attacked the city with his fear gas, and everybody is scared, so the entire Gotham City evacuates so that no one's left in the town except for the criminals and some overworked police and Batman, of course. So it's up to Batman to track down all the criminals and save the city, because he's Batman. The general breakdown for an Arkham series is unchanged here. There's several different gameplay sections. Primarily, there are stealth sections where you are thrown into some sort of enclosed area with a bunch of enemies that you have to take down quietly or else be discovered and usually taken out yourself pretty quickly. Combat sections where you're thrown into a group, once again another enclosed area, with a series of different types of enemies that you have to fight. Combat in the Arkham series is very almost rhythmic, where you want to keep a kind of flow going, where you bounce from enemy to enemy and there's different enemy types that you have to attack different ways. It's pretty rewarding when you get it down, but it can be pretty punishing too if you don't do it right. I've failed multiple times on this game on the specific sections. There's also detective mode, where you will go into a sort of 3D animated rendering of the world that you're in, where you kind of roll time back and forth and reconstruct events and scan things in the environment. It's a bit of a puzzle, and these are scattered in throughout the game as sort of a change of pace. They're pretty fun, and I do like when those sections come up. There's also world traversal. You are moving all around Gotham City with your Batclaw and your, all that good stuff as you kind of sail across rooftops. A new feature to this title that was not in other titles is the Batmobile. This is very similar to the Batmobile from the Batman movies, like The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Returns, that you may have seen in those films. This Batmobile can sort of turn into a tank, and there's lots of sections where it requires you to blow up a lot of other stuff, other enemies coming at you. The game has a few too many of these sections, so it can get a little tedious from time to time, but generally, especially when you first get in it, it feels pretty cool. There's lots of upgrades and gadgets, just like there were in the other Arkham series. You get points as you play through the game that you can use to upgrade Batman's abilities and tools, as well as the Batmobile itself. There's also a lot of collectibles in this game. I believe there's over 260, I believe, that you need to get to capture the Riddler. They're Riddler trophies. So it's even built into the narrative of the game. Unfortunately, though, small spoiler here, if you want to get everything in the game, the entire story, you have to do all the side missions. That includes getting all the Riddler trophies. I did a complete playthrough doing everything else, all the side missions and the main story, and still had, I believe, 202 trophies to get, so that may give you an indication of how much work that might be. Anyhow, there's also some issues with glitches. The PC version of this game especially has had some difficulty, so much to the point that it was actually pulled from digital shelves. It was not being sold because the game was so broken. I was playing on the Xbox One, and I still had some issues of freezes and crashes. It's not so frequent that it's game breaking, but it is frequent enough that it can be very obnoxious having to quit out, start the game again, restart your Xbox just to be able to go back and play. So overall, this is a good game. I enjoyed it, but I like this series. If you've played the Arkham series before, you will enjoy this title. If you're new to the series, though, I would actually suggest you go back and play Arkham City. I believe it's a better story, and it's basically the same game, unfortunately. But yeah, if you've got a new generation console and you love you some Batman, I would say definitely go pick up Batman Arkham Knight. Back to you, Justin. Thanks, Future Justin. You're the best. Probably. Anyhow, that about wraps up this week's show. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.